Kiran stood at the edge of the human colony on Ryan Prime, gazing at the vast alien city that stretched into the sky. Towering spires of metal and crystal glowed with a pale blue light, casting long shadows across the barren ground. The humans had arrived only a decade ago, carving out a small settlement among rocks and dust. Despite their efforts, they remained outsiders, barely tolerated by the dominant alien races. Kiran was young, barely 24 cycles old, but he carried a stubborn determination in his chest. He had grown up hearing stories of human bravery, of people who had faced impossible odds and survived. Yet here, on this new world, humans were often dismissed as weak, foolish, or too small to matter. Today was important. Kiran was scheduled to attend a council meeting, a gathering of the alien leaders who controlled the region. It was the first time a human had been allowed to speak in the chamber. Many humans said it was pointless, that no one would listen. Kiran, however, refused to think that way. He had prepared himself for months, learning the language, understanding the protocols, and memorizing the facts he would present. As he approached the tall, silver doors of the council hall, he felt the eyes of alien guards upon him. The guards were tall, broad-shouldered, with skin that shimmered like polished stone. Their eyes were large and unblinking, scanning Kiran as if he were an insect. He straightened his back and walked forward. Each step felt heavy, but he reminded himself that courage was not the absence of fear but the ability to act despite it. Inside the hall, the chamber was vast, with rows of seats rising toward the ceiling. The alien council sat at the front on elevated platforms, their forms illuminated by soft light. Myra, the diplomat who had first welcomed the humans, was seated in the center. She was taller than the rest, with silver skin and eyes that glowed faintly. Kiran had heard rumors about her sharp mind and strict judgment. She was known to be unyielding and blunt. Kiran took a deep breath and stepped forward. He spoke clearly, "Honorable Council, I come to represent the humans of Ryan Prime. We wish to contribute, to help your people and ours survive and thrive in this world. We ask only for an opportunity to prove ourselves." A murmur ran through the chamber. Kiran noticed the council members exchanging glances, some intrigued, some skeptical. Myra leaned forward, her expression unreadable. "Prove yourselves," she asked, her voice calm but firm. "Humans are fragile. You stumble, you fall, and yet you claim to have wisdom and courage. Words alone do not impress this council." Kiran swallowed hard but held his ground. "We may be smaller, and we may lack some of your natural abilities, but humans are resourceful. We learn quickly, adapt to challenges, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Give us a chance, and you will see the strength we carry is not always visible." Myra's eyes narrowed slightly. "Strength? You speak of strength, but you are still a child in our eyes. You have not faced the trials that shape a true leader. Come back when you are a man, and perhaps then your words will hold weight." The words cut deeper than Kiran expected. The chamber went silent, every council member turning their gaze toward him. Kiran felt heat rise to his face, a mixture of anger and embarrassment. The phrase "come back when you're a man" echoed in his mind, repeating like a challenge he could not ignore. Kiran's hands clenched into fists at his sides. He wanted to respond immediately, to argue, to shout, but he stopped himself. He had learned from stories that patience and planning were often more powerful than immediate anger. Instead, he bowed his head slightly and said, "I will return, Myra. I will prove that humans are more than you believe." Without waiting for a response, Kiran turned and left the chamber. The corridors outside felt colder than usual, but he walked with purpose. He knew that proving himself would not be simple. The council had not asked for words, they wanted action, evidence that a human could meet the challenges they considered impossible. Back in the human settlement, Kiran sought out Taro, an older human who had served as a scout and strategist during the early years of colonization. Taro was sitting outside a small dome, repairing a communication device. He looked up as Kiran approached, his face lined with age and experience. "I saw the meeting," Taro said without greeting. "You did well to speak, but Myra's words sting." "You felt them, didn't you?" Kiran nodded. "She dismissed me completely. She said I am not a man yet. I cannot let her think that of me. I need to change, to become someone worthy of respect." Taro studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Then you have the right fire. Strength is more than muscle or size. It is courage, wit, and heart. If you truly wish to prove yourself, you must train, learn, and push past the limits you do not yet know you have." Over the next days, Kiran began a rigorous regimen. He practiced physical drills with other humans, learning to move faster and endure longer. He spent hours studying alien technology, trying to understand devices and tools that seemed far beyond human design. He learned tactics for defense and survival, and Taro taught him strategies for thinking several steps ahead. Kiran's journey was not easy. He failed many times, falling during drills, miscalculating in simulations, and struggling with the alien machines he tried to master. Each failure, however, only strengthened his resolve. Myra's words echoed in his mind, reminding him that the council expected more than courage, they expected proof that humans could rise to challenges. At night, Kiran would stand outside the dome, looking at the alien city lights. He imagined returning to the council chamber, standing before Myra, and demonstrating the human potential she had dismissed. He could see it in his mind, the surprise in her eyes, the acknowledgement of human ingenuity, the moment when he would no longer be seen as a child. Kiran's determination became more than personal ambition. It became a mission to inspire every human in the colony. If he could prove that humans had value, perhaps the council would open doors for others. Perhaps the galaxy would finally recognize that strength comes in many forms, and that humanity had a place among the stars. As the cycles passed, Kiran's body grew stronger, his mind sharper, and his courage unwavering. Each challenge he faced, each failure he overcame, brought him closer to the day he would return to the council. And in his heart, one truth remained clear: Myra had been right to doubt him, but she had also given him a gift. Her words had ignited a fire that would drive him to greatness. And Kiran knew that when he finally returned, he would not only prove her wrong, he would prove that humans could achieve the impossible. Kiran woke before the first light of Ryan Prime, the cold wind of the barren plains brushing against his face. He pulled his simple jacket tighter and stretched his arms, feeling the stiffness from yesterday's exercises. Every muscle ached, but he welcomed the pain. Each ache was a sign that he was changing, growing stronger. Taro, his mentor, waited by a small training dome, arms crossed and eyes sharp as ever. "Today will be harder," Taro said, his voice calm but firm. "If you want to return to the council as a man, you cannot rely on hope. You need skill, strength, and patience." Kiran nodded. He had understood that courage alone would not be enough. The aliens were not impressed by words or feelings. They respected action, precision, and results. He had to prove that humans could match them in intelligence, endurance, and strategy. The first part of the day was physical training. Kiran ran across uneven terrain, jumping over rocks and weaving between metal poles that Taro had set up like obstacles. He carried a weighted pack, adding resistance to every step. The wind pushed against him, the ground shifted under his boots, and his lungs burned, but he did not stop. Taro walked alongside him, occasionally pointing out flaws in his stance or stride. "You are moving too fast over the obstacles," Taro said. "Precision matters. One mistake in battle can cost your life. Slow down and think." Kiran slowed his pace, focusing on each movement. He felt the weight of his body, the strength in his legs, and the coordination in his arms. With practice, he began to move more efficiently, landing each jump cleanly, balancing over rocks with ease. The physical strain was harsh, but every small victory encouraged him to push further. After hours of running and climbing, Taro led Kiran to the next challenge, combat training. Unlike humans, the aliens relied on long limbs and advanced reflexes. They could strike faster and hit harder. Kiran had to learn how to anticipate movements and defend himself without relying on raw strength. Taro handed him a practice weapon, a short staff with energy sensors. "This is not about force," Taro said. "It is about reading your opponent. Watch their body, predict their movement, and react before they strike." Kiran swung the staff, trying to block and counter Taro's strikes. He was clumsy at first, taking several hits that would have been dangerous against a real enemy. Sweat poured down his face, his arms shook from repeated blocks, but he remembered Myra's words. He had to become a man, someone capable of handling challenges others thought impossible. Hours turned into cycles as Kiran trained tirelessly. He learned to dodge, block, and strike with precision. Taro introduced mental exercises as well. He set up strategy games using holographic alien soldiers and scenarios that required Kiran to make quick decisions under pressure. Kiran learned to think several steps ahead, considering how an opponent might react to each move. One evening, after a particularly long day, Kiran sat outside the dome, exhausted but unable to sleep. He watched the alien city glow in the distance, feeling both awe and determination. He thought of Myra's words, the council's doubt, and the challenge ahead. It was not enough to be brave, he had to be smart, adaptable, and relentless. In the following cycles, Kiran began to learn alien technology. The devices were complicated, often requiring more than one human to understand fully. Kiran studied manuals, watched simulations, and experimented with tools until he could operate them with ease. He modified human tools to work with alien machines, creating hybrid devices that enhanced his abilities. Taro watched him with approval. "Humans have an advantage," Taro said one day. "You see things differently. You can combine ideas in ways the aliens cannot. Use that. Ingenuity is a weapon." Kiran's confidence grew, but he remained humble. He knew that the aliens were still stronger in many ways, and one mistake could undo all his progress. He kept training, repeating exercises until his movements became instinctive, and his mind could plan 3 or 4 steps ahead even under stress. Kiran also learned teamwork. The humans in the settlement joined him in training, and together they simulated missions against imagined alien threats. Kiran learned to lead, coordinating movements, assigning roles, and inspiring others. He understood that being a man, as Myra had said, was not just about personal strength but also about responsibility for others. One day, Taro set up a special test. He led Kiran to a rocky canyon with a series of traps and obstacles designed to simulate a hostile alien patrol. "You must retrieve the core at the end," Taro explained. "Every decision matters. One wrong move and the mission fails." Kiran nodded, his heart steady. He moved carefully, observing the terrain, predicting dangers, and adjusting his path. He avoided traps, neutralized alarms, and stayed calm under pressure. For the first time, he felt a deep sense of confidence. He was no longer the young human who had trembled in the council chamber. He was becoming a man capable of facing the unknown. At the end of the course, Kiran held the small energy core in his hands. Taro smiled. "You have come far," he said. "But this is only the beginning. The council will not be easily convinced. Danger awaits you, and you must be ready for challenges greater than this." Kiran looked at the horizon, where the alien city shimmered under the twin suns. He felt a sense of purpose stronger than fear. Myra's words were no longer a wound, they were a spark that fueled his determination. Every failure, every struggle, and every long cycle of training had prepared him for the moment when he would return to the council. He thought of the other humans in the colony, of the young children who watched him with hope in their eyes. They needed him to succeed. Humanity needed to show the galaxy that their strength was not always visible but was real and formidable. Kiran continued his training for cycles more, growing faster, stronger, and wiser with every challenge. He learned to combine human ingenuity with alien technology, to anticipate threats, and to lead with courage and strategy. By the time he was ready to leave the training ground, he was no longer the boy who had been dismissed in the council chamber. He was a man prepared to face the trials ahead, ready to prove that humans could stand among the stars. As he packed his supplies and prepared to take his first real mission beyond the settlement, Kiran felt a calm determination. He would return to Myra and the council, not with words, but with action. He would show them that strength comes in many forms, and that humanity had a place in the galaxy because of courage, intelligence, and heart. And with that resolve, Kiran stepped out of the dome into the rising light of Ryan Prime, ready to begin the next chapter of his journey. The morning air on Ryan Prime was sharp and cold, carrying the scent of dust and rock. Kiran adjusted his pack and checked his tools once more. Today was his first real mission beyond the safety of the human settlement. He would lead a small team to investigate a mining colony under threat from a rogue alien faction. This was no longer a simulation. This was real, and the stakes were high. Kiran's team consisted of 3 humans, each trained under his guidance over the past cycles. Lena, skilled in mechanical repairs, carried tools and devices to handle technical challenges. Rami, strong and agile, could protect the team during physical confrontations. Jalil, quiet but clever, specialized in strategy and scouting. Together, they were ready to face whatever dangers awaited. As they approached the mining colony, Kiran reviewed their plan. The rogue aliens were known for their speed and coordination, relying on advanced sensors and long-range weapons. A direct confrontation would be deadly. Kiran's strategy was to use the terrain to their advantage, strike carefully, and protect the colonists until reinforcements could arrive. The first sight of the rogue faction caused Kiran's heart to race. The aliens moved with precision, scanning the area and guarding the entrances to the colony. Kiran held up his hand, signaling his team to halt. He studied their movement, noting patterns and weaknesses. "We move quietly," he whispered. "We create a distraction here, while Lena and Jalil secure the colonists." The team moved as one, silent and careful. Kiran led them along the rocky ridges, avoiding patrols and observing the alien guards. He felt the adrenaline but did not let it control him. Every decision mattered. One wrong step could alert the faction and put the colonists in danger. Lena and Jalil approached the main gate under Kiran's guidance. Using tools adapted from alien technology, they disabled the alarms and locks, allowing the miners to escape to safety. Meanwhile, Kiran and Rami created a diversion by triggering a small explosion near a supply depot. The aliens reacted immediately, rushing toward the noise. Kiran and Rami led them on a chase, drawing them away from the colony. The chase was dangerous. The aliens were faster and stronger, but Kiran relied on strategy rather than speed. He led them through narrow paths where the aliens' size became a disadvantage, and set traps using rocks and equipment to slow their pursuit. His careful planning allowed the colonists to evacuate without harm. Suddenly, one alien broke away from the group and confronted Kiran directly. It towered over him, its limbs long and powerful. Kiran's heart pounded, but he remembered Taro's lessons. He held his staff firmly, observing the alien's movements. When the alien struck, Kiran blocked and sidestepped, using the momentum against it. The battle was brief but intense. Kiran dodged, countered, and forced the alien to retreat without causing serious harm. Once the alien patrols were distracted, Kiran signaled to his team. Lena and Jalil had gathered the miners, leading them to a safe zone near the edge of the settlement. Rami stayed close, ensuring no one followed. The humans moved efficiently, coordinating as if they had been together for years. Kiran felt a surge of pride. This was the result of their training, their preparation, and their trust in one another. When the last colonist was safe, Kiran and his team returned to the ridge to assess the situation. The rogue faction had retreated, confused, and unable to understand how a small human team had outmaneuvered them. Kiran realized that humans did not need to match aliens in size or strength. Intelligence, teamwork, and clever thinking could overcome even the most dangerous threats. Kiran allowed himself a moment to breathe. The mission had been a success, but he knew it was only the beginning. Myra and the council would still question his abilities, but now he had proof that humans could act decisively in dangerous situations. He had seen the fear in the eyes of the rogue aliens, and he knew that humans had earned a measure of respect, even if silently. On the journey back to the settlement, Kiran reflected on the mission. Every obstacle had been a test of his planning and leadership. Every decision had mattered. The colonists had survived because of careful strategy and human ingenuity. Kiran realized that this was the essence of being a man, as Myra had challenged him. Strength was more than physical power, it was courage, responsibility, and the ability to protect others. The team returned to the settlement as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the plains. The miners expressed their gratitude, their voices full of relief and admiration. Kiran felt a quiet satisfaction. He had led them safely, and in doing so, he had begun to change the perception of humans on Ryan Prime. Taro met them at the edge of the settlement, his expression serious but approving. "You handled yourself well," he said. "The council will be surprised. You are learning fast, Kiran. But remember, every mission carries new challenges. The rogue faction is only one of many threats in this galaxy. You must continue to grow, or the next test may be far more dangerous." Kiran nodded, understanding the weight of Taro's words. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. He had taken the first step toward proving himself, but many more challenges awaited. He would need courage, intelligence, and leadership to face what lay ahead. That night, Kiran stood outside his small quarters, looking at the stars. The light of distant worlds twinkled like tiny promises of the adventures to come. He thought of Myra and the council, their doubts still lingering in his mind. But he also thought of the humans who had relied on him, the miners whose lives he had saved, and the team who had trusted his decisions. They had shown him that humans were capable of more than the aliens imagined. In the quiet of the evening, Kiran made a silent vow. He would continue to train, to grow stronger, and to return to the council with undeniable proof of human strength. He would show Myra that humans were not just small and weak. They were clever, brave, and capable of facing the greatest challenges in the galaxy. The first test had been completed. Kiran had led his team, protected the colonists, and outsmarted a dangerous enemy. He had learned lessons in leadership, strategy, and courage that no training course could teach fully. But more importantly, he had begun to understand what it truly meant to be a man in the eyes of the council, someone who could face danger without fear, protect others without hesitation, and use intelligence and heart to overcome impossible odds. As Kiran prepared to rest, he knew that the real journey was only beginning. Greater challenges awaited, and he would need every lesson he had learned, every skill he had honed, and every ounce of courage he could summon. The stars above seemed to promise that one day, he would return to Myra and the council not as the young human they had dismissed, but as a man who had proven his worth in action and in spirit. And with that determination, Kiran drifted to sleep, ready to face the trials of the days to come. Kiran adjusted his uniform as he walked through the corridors of the Alien Council Hall. The walls glowed faintly, showing patterns of light that shifted with every step. He had returned, stronger, smarter, and more confident than the first time he had stood before the council. The memory of Myra's words, "Come back when you're a man," still lingered, but now they were a challenge he intended to meet. The humans in the settlement had prepared him for this moment. Kiran had trained tirelessly, learned alien technology, and proven himself in dangerous situations. Yet, despite his preparation, he felt a familiar tension in his chest. The council did not easily trust outsiders. Even today, he knew, they would scrutinize his every move. As he entered the chamber, the alien council members turned their heads to observe him. Myra sat in the center, her eyes glowing softly. She raised an eyebrow, clearly curious to see if Kiran had changed. The other members murmured quietly, their voices echoing through the hall. Kiran's team had remained at the edge of the chamber, supporting him silently. Kiran stepped forward and addressed the council. Honorable leaders, I return not with words, but with action. The humans of Ryan Prime are ready to contribute, to protect, and to stand alongside you. I ask only for a chance to demonstrate our abilities. Myra studied him carefully, her expression unreadable. Words are easy, human. We have seen courage in humans before, but bravery alone does not guarantee wisdom or skill. The council will grant you a formal challenge. If you succeed, humans will be recognized as capable allies. Fail, and your people will remain outsiders. Kiran felt a surge of determination. This was what he had trained for. I understand, Myra. I accept your challenge. The council convened quickly to explain the task. A vital energy core, essential to the region's power grid, had been placed in an asteroid field controlled by hostile aliens. Previous attempts to retrieve it had failed. Kiran would lead a small team to recover the core and return it safely. The challenge tested not only strength and skill but intelligence, strategy, and leadership under extreme pressure. Kiran listened carefully as the council outlined the rules. No direct harm to the hostile aliens was allowed unless necessary for defense. All actions must ensure the safety of civilians and teammates. Failure to retrieve the core or losing any team member would mean immediate disqualification. The stakes were high, and the council's eyes weighed heavily upon him. After the briefing, Kiran stepped outside with his team. The weight of responsibility pressed on him. Lena, Rami, and Jalil looked at him with trust and expectation. They had trained together for cycles, and now it was time to prove themselves. Kiran gathered them in a circle. This mission is dangerous, but we have trained for it. We move carefully, plan ahead, and protect each other. Remember, our goal is to retrieve the energy core and return safely. We rely on our wits, our skills, and our teamwork. Trust each other, and we will succeed. The team nodded, and together they boarded their small transport ship. The engines hummed to life, and the craft lifted smoothly off the settlement's surface. Kiran guided them toward the asteroid field, scanning for threats and mapping the terrain. The field was dense, full of jagged rocks and hidden dangers. The hostile aliens had established patrols, and any misstep could be fatal. As they approached, Kiran studied the field carefully. He noticed patterns in the alien patrols, gaps in their defenses, and weak points in the structures surrounding the core. We will move through the eastern corridor, he instructed. It is narrower, which works to our advantage. Stay close, and follow my lead. The team moved cautiously through the asteroid field. Every moment demanded focus. Kiran guided them around unstable rocks, avoided energy sensors, and bypassed patrols using tactics they had practiced countless times. His heart raced, but his mind remained clear. He thought ahead, predicting potential hazards before they appeared. When they reached the perimeter of the hostile alien base, Kiran signaled for a halt. He analyzed the energy core's location and the surrounding defenses. We need a distraction, he whispered. Rami, you and I will create a diversion on the south side. Lena and Jalil, you secure the core and prepare for extraction. Rami nodded, and together they moved quietly to their positions. Kiran triggered a small device that emitted bright light and a low hum, drawing the alien guards' attention. The aliens rushed toward the distraction, leaving the core relatively unguarded. Lena and Jalil advanced quickly, using their tools to access the core's containment system. The task was not simple. The containment system required precise adjustments, and the hostile aliens were quick to respond. Lena's hands moved steadily, guided by Kiran's instructions. Jalil scanned the perimeter, alerting them to approaching threats. The core released its hold, and Lena carefully lifted it, securing it in the transport pod. Kiran and Rami maintained the diversion, using clever maneuvers to delay the alien patrols. Kiran remembered Taro's advice, brains often outweigh brawn. Use the environment to your advantage. He led the aliens into narrow passages and around unstable rocks, slowing their pursuit without causing serious harm. With the core secured, Kiran signaled the team to retreat. They moved swiftly but cautiously, navigating the asteroid field with precision. One close call occurred when a large rock shifted, blocking their path. Kiran acted quickly, instructing Rami to push it aside while he recalculated their route. Teamwork and quick thinking allowed them to continue without injury or delay. Finally, the transport ship cleared the asteroid field. Kiran exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. They had accomplished the mission. The energy core was intact, the team was safe, and the hostile aliens were unable to prevent their success. Kiran realized that humans did not need to match aliens in strength. Intelligence, strategy, and cooperation were equally powerful. Returning to the council chamber, Kiran presented the energy core. Myra and the other council members watched silently as he explained the mission. He detailed the planning, the tactics, and the teamwork that made it possible. The humans of Ryan Prime are capable of more than words can express, Kiran concluded. We have proven that courage, intelligence, and cooperation are our greatest strengths. Myra's eyes softened slightly, and she inclined her head in acknowledgement. You have returned as a man, she said. Your actions speak louder than words. Humans have shown their worth, and the council recognizes your contribution. This is only the beginning, but your courage and skill are undeniable. The other council members nodded, some in approval, some in quiet respect. Kiran's heart swelled with pride. He had faced danger, led his team, and fulfilled the challenge. The humans were no longer outsiders, they were allies, respected for their ingenuity and bravery. As Kiran left the chamber, he felt the weight of responsibility shift. The council had given him recognition, but greater challenges still awaited. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknown threats. Kiran understood that every mission, every choice, and every action would continue to test him. Yet he was ready. He had trained, led, and proven that humans could face even the most formidable opponents. Myra's words, once a sting, had become a beacon of motivation. Kiran had returned as a man, and he would continue to grow, ready to face whatever challenges the stars held. The asteroid field stretched before Kiran like a sea of jagged stone, vast and threatening. Sunlight reflected off the floating rocks, creating sharp shadows that made navigation difficult. The transport ship hummed steadily beneath him as he adjusted the controls, guiding his small team through the treacherous path. Lena, Rami, and Jalil sat in their positions, their eyes scanning the terrain. Each of them trusted Kiran's leadership completely. Every movement, every decision he made had prepared them for this moment. Kiran, however, felt the familiar tension in his chest. This mission was far more dangerous than any training exercise. One mistake could cost them the energy core, the mission, or their lives. Kiran took a deep breath, steadying his mind. Keep your focus, he said. Watch the rocks, follow my lead, and remember our plan. We move slowly and carefully. Nothing distracts us. The first obstacle appeared quickly, a massive rock shifted, blocking their intended path. Kiran guided the ship around it, using precise maneuvers to avoid collision. The asteroids were unpredictable, tumbling and spinning in ways that made every decision critical. One wrong move could smash the ship against a rock or leave them exposed to alien patrols. As they advanced, Kiran activated the scanners, searching for hostile alien activity. The rogue faction that guarded the core was alert and experienced. Kiran analyzed patterns in their movements, looking for weaknesses. "The patrols are close, but there is a gap here," he said, pointing at the scanner. "We move through this corridor. Stay close and silent." The team followed his instructions flawlessly. The ship glided through narrow passages, dodging spinning rocks and avoiding energy sensors. Kiran felt a growing sense of confidence. Every maneuver was calculated, every decision precise. The training cycles with Taro had prepared him for this. The patience, the strategy, the focus, it all came together now. Suddenly, an asteroid shifted unexpectedly, sending a smaller rock hurtling toward the ship. Kiran reacted instantly, steering sharply to avoid impact. Rami braced himself, gripping the rails, while Lena and Jalil adjusted their positions to maintain balance. The rock passed closely, a reminder of the constant danger surrounding them. "Steady," Kiran said, keeping his voice calm. "Every challenge is part of the test. Focus on the next move, not the last one." As they neared the location of the energy core, the alien defenses became more intense. Automated drones patrolled the area, their sensors sweeping the field for intruders. Kiran studied their movement patterns carefully. "We time it," he whispered. "Wait for the drones to pass, then move quickly to the core. Lena and Jalil, be ready to secure it." The team moved in unison. Kiran navigated the ship along a narrow path, avoiding detection. Lena and Jalil deployed their tools, disabling the containment field around the core. Sparks flew as they worked, the alien technology resisting their attempts. Kiran stayed alert, scanning the surroundings for any sign of threat. A patrol drone suddenly turned toward them, its sensors locking onto the ship. Kiran acted quickly, activating a small holographic projector to create a decoy. The drone swerved toward the illusion, buying the team precious moments. Lena completed the deactivation process, and Jalil lifted the energy core carefully into the transport pod. "Core secured," Jalil reported. Kiran allowed himself a brief nod. "Good. Let's move before the others notice." The retreat was even more dangerous than the approach. The alien patrols had discovered the missing core and were now in pursuit. Kiran guided the ship through tighter passages, weaving between spinning asteroids. The team worked together seamlessly. Rami monitored the ship's hull, ready to intervene if needed, while Lena and Jalil ensured the core remained stable. One large asteroid suddenly broke away from its orbit, threatening to crush the ship. Kiran's hands moved with precision, adjusting thrusters to shift the ship's path. The rock grazed the hull, shaking the transport violently, but no serious damage occurred. Kiran's calm and quick thinking prevented disaster. "Almost there," he muttered, eyes scanning the path ahead. The exit of the asteroid field was in sight, but the rogue alien patrols were closing fast. Kiran calculated the timing carefully. He increased speed slightly, drawing the patrols into a narrow channel where their size became a disadvantage. The aliens struggled to follow, colliding with smaller rocks and slowing their pursuit. Kiran guided the ship through the final stretch, dodging debris and avoiding detection. The transport shuddered as it passed through the last obstacles, but the team held firm. Finally, the asteroid field opened to space beyond. Kiran exhaled, feeling the tension leave his body in a slow wave. The energy core was intact, the team was unharmed, and the hostile aliens were unable to prevent their success. Kiran realized that humans did not need to match aliens in strength. Intelligence, strategy, and teamwork could overcome even the most formidable threats. On the journey back to the settlement, Kiran reviewed every step of the mission in his mind. Every choice had mattered. Every small decision had contributed to the success. He had learned that leadership was not about commanding blindly but about observing, thinking ahead, and trusting the team to act as one. The settlement appeared on the horizon, glowing under the light of Ryan Prime's sun. The humans cheered as the transport landed safely. Kiran's team disembarked, carrying the energy core with care. The colonists gathered, watching with admiration and relief. Kiran felt a quiet satisfaction. They had faced danger, and they had triumphed not by brute force but by courage and intellect. Taro met them at the edge of the landing area. His eyes gleamed with pride. "You have done it," he said. "This is more than a mission accomplished. You have proven that humans can face threats that others would fear. Remember this feeling, Kiran. You are learning the meaning of true strength." Kiran nodded, feeling the weight of the experience settle within him. He had led his team through impossible dangers, solved problems under pressure, and maintained focus when fear could have taken hold. He had proven that humans could face challenges that even the aliens considered too dangerous. That night, as Kiran rested in his quarters, he reflected on the day's events. He realized that courage alone was not enough. He needed intelligence, strategy, teamwork, and calm under pressure. He had shown that humans could combine these qualities in ways others could not anticipate. In the quiet of the evening, Kiran made a promise to himself. He would continue to grow, to learn, and to face every challenge with determination. He would return to Myra and the Council with undeniable proof that humans were not only brave but capable, clever, and worthy of respect. The stars above Ryan Prime shimmered, reflecting the endless possibilities ahead. Kiran felt ready to face them. The Energy Core mission had been dangerous, but it had also shown him the true potential of humans. They could achieve more than anyone expected, using courage, intellect, and teamwork to overcome impossible odds. And as Kiran drifted into sleep, he knew that this mission was only the beginning. Greater challenges awaited, and he would face them with the same determination that had carried him through the asteroid field. He was ready to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. The council chamber was quiet as Kiran entered, the familiar glow of the walls casting pale light across the seats. The council members, including Myra, were already present. Their eyes turned toward him, curious and cautious. Kiran walked steadily, carrying the energy core securely in his hands. Every step echoed confidence, the confidence that had been forged through cycles of training, missions, and challenges. Myra remained in the center of the chamber, her expression unreadable. Kiran remembered the first time he had stood here, when her words had cut deep. "Come back when you're a man," she had said. Today, Kiran knew he had grown. He was no longer the young human dismissed as small and weak. Today, he would show that humanity had strength beyond what anyone had imagined. Kiran approached the central platform and placed the energy core before the council. Its surface glowed faintly, a symbol of their success and the lives they had protected. He turned to face Myra. "The mission has been completed," he said clearly. "The core is safe, and my team and I have returned without harm. We faced dangers that many would have thought impossible, and we succeeded because of courage, intelligence, and cooperation." The council remained silent, observing Kiran carefully. Myra's eyes studied him, her head slightly tilted. "You have returned with the core," she said slowly. "Many have tried and failed. Yet the core alone does not prove leadership or wisdom. Tell us how this mission was accomplished." Kiran nodded. He recounted every detail, the planning, the observation of patrol patterns, the careful navigation through the asteroid field, and the teamwork that allowed the team to secure the core. He described the challenges they had faced, including shifting asteroids, patrol drones, and mechanical failures, and how each obstacle had been overcome with strategy and collaboration. "The rogue faction underestimated us," Kiran explained. "They assumed humans would rely on strength alone, but we combined intelligence, careful planning, and quick adaptation. Every decision was made with the safety of my team and the mission in mind. We did not rely on luck, we relied on human ingenuity and teamwork." As Kiran spoke, Myra's expression softened, and she leaned forward slightly. The other council members murmured among themselves, clearly impressed by the level of detail and precision in Kiran's account. It was not just the mission itself that mattered, it was the skill, foresight, and calm under pressure that had allowed the mission to succeed. A council elder spoke, his voice deep and resonant. Humans are smaller and weaker than most races here, yet they demonstrate remarkable intellect and courage. How do you account for this? Kiran glanced at his team, who stood confidently behind him. We are aware of our limitations, he said. But we also know that limitations can be overcome. By observing, learning, and working together, humans can achieve what seems impossible. Strength is not only physical, it is intelligence, courage, and responsibility. That is what makes us capable. Myra studied him for a long moment. You speak well, human, she said finally. But words are only convincing when backed by deeds. Today, your deeds have spoken. The energy core has been recovered, the mission completed, and your team has returned unharmed. You have shown leadership, courage, and cleverness. You have proven that humanity is not to be underestimated. The chamber remained quiet for a moment, then the council members began to nod in agreement. Some spoke quietly among themselves, acknowledging Kiran's skill and the effectiveness of his human team. Kiran felt a swell of pride, not just for himself, but for every human who had trained, struggled, and endured alongside him. This recognition was not just for him, it was for all of humanity. Myra stood and stepped closer. Her eyes, which had once held doubt, now reflected respect. Kiran, she said, you have returned as a man. You have met the challenge with intelligence, courage, and honor. Humans have demonstrated that they are worthy allies. Your people will be recognized, and your actions will be remembered. Kiran bowed slightly, feeling the weight of the moment. Thank you, Myra. This is not just my success. It belongs to my team, to the humans of Ryan Prime, and to everyone who has believed in our potential. We will continue to prove our worth in every challenge we face. The council conferred briefly, discussing the implications of Kiran's mission. The recognition was not simply ceremonial, it granted humans the right to participate in future operations, to contribute their skills, and to earn respect among the alien races. Kiran realized that this was more than personal vindication. It was a step toward equality and acknowledgement for all humans. As the council concluded their session, Myra addressed Kiran once more. You have proven the value of patience, strategy, and courage. You have shown that humans can rise above expectation, and that true strength comes from intelligence, cooperation, and heart. We will watch your people closely, and we hope to learn from them as they have learned from this mission. Kiran nodded, a quiet smile crossing his face. The words were not empty praise, they were recognition earned through effort, skill, and perseverance. He had faced danger, led his team, and succeeded where many had failed. He had proven that humans could stand as equals in the galaxy. Returning to his quarters later that day, Kiran reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the moment Myra had dismissed him as a boy to this moment of recognition, every cycle of training, every mission, and every lesson had shaped him into the leader he had become. He had learned that being a man was not simply about strength or courage, it was about responsibility, foresight, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. Kiran's team gathered around him, their faces showing pride and relief. We did it, Lena said quietly. We really did it. Rami smiled. I knew we could. You led us well, Kiran. Jalil nodded. This changes everything. Humans are no longer outsiders. We have a place among the stars. Kiran looked at his friends and team members. This is only the beginning, he said. We have shown our worth, but there is still much to learn, many challenges to face. We will continue to grow, to protect, and to prove that humans belong here. As night fell on the settlement, Kiran stepped outside and looked at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, full of unknown worlds, challenges, and opportunities. He felt a deep sense of purpose and determination. Humanity had proven its courage and ingenuity, but the journey was far from over. Greater trials awaited, and Kieran was ready to face them. For the first time, he felt the full weight of his own growth. He was no longer the boy who had been dismissed in the council chamber. He was a man, a leader, and a symbol of human potential. Myra's challenge had been met, and he had proven not only to the aliens but to himself that humans could rise to any occasion. And as Kieran stood under the stars, he knew that his journey, and humanity's journey, had only just begun. The galaxy awaited, and he would face it with courage, intelligence, and heart. Humanity's place among the stars was secured, not through force alone, but through ingenuity, determination, and the strength of character that defined them as a species. The settlement was quiet in the early morning light. Kieran stood on a ridge overlooking the plains of Ryan Prime, the wind brushing gently across his face. The events of the past cycles weighed on him, but not as a burden. They were a reminder of what humans could achieve. From the first moment Myra had challenged him to come back when you're a man, he had grown, learned, and proven himself. Today, he felt the responsibility of that proof, not just for himself, but for all humanity. The Council had recognized his achievements, and the Energy Core mission had cemented the credibility of humans in the eyes of the aliens. But Kieran knew that recognition was not the end. It was the beginning of a new chapter. Humans had demonstrated courage, ingenuity, and leadership. Now they had to maintain it, expand it, and continue to earn their place among the stars. Kieran's team approached, carrying supplies for the day's tasks. Lena walked beside him, her eyes bright with determination. "Kieran," she said, "people are talking about what you've done. Humans are no longer dismissed. You've changed everything." Rami added, "The Council respects us now. Other species are curious about humans. This is our chance to show what we can do, together." Jalil, always quiet but perceptive, nodded. "It's not just about survival anymore. It's about contribution, about leaving a mark." Kieran smiled at his team. "We've done well, but we must continue. Recognition is not enough. We have to prove ourselves every day, in action, in thought, and in care for others. That is how humans will show their true value." The day's work began with a mission to repair damaged equipment in the outer regions of the settlement. Alien scouts had reported disturbances in nearby asteroid belts, likely caused by natural shifts in the terrain. Kieran led his team, using the skills he had honed during the Energy Core mission. Every movement was deliberate, every decision calculated. As they reached the outer equipment stations, Kieran observed the damage. Metal supports had twisted, energy conduits were severed, and some systems were dangerously unstable. "We need to work carefully," he instructed. "Rami, stabilize the structures. Lena, repair the conduits. Jalil, monitor for any further changes in the terrain." The team worked efficiently, each action a testament to their training and coordination. Kieran supervised, guided, and participated, ensuring safety and efficiency. Even under pressure, they remained calm and effective. The aliens observing from a distance noted the humans' competence with admiration. When the repairs were complete, Kieran and his team moved to investigate the asteroid belts. Using sensors and drones, they mapped the terrain and identified potential hazards before they became threats. Kieran noted weaknesses in the alien monitoring systems and suggested improvements that would protect both humans and alien installations. The Council's recognition of human ingenuity seemed justified as every suggestion enhanced safety and efficiency. Later, a message arrived from Myra herself. She requested Kieran's presence at the Council chambers for a strategic discussion on future collaboration. Kieran understood the significance. Humans were now being included in planning operations, not just executing them. Their perspectives, experiences, and strategies were valued. This was proof that humans were no longer outsiders, they were participants in the governance of interstellar challenges. At the council chambers, Kiran presented his observations and proposed strategies. He suggested ways to improve patrol routes, utilize hybrid human-alien technology, and integrate human ingenuity in problem-solving tasks. The council members listened intently, some nodding in approval, others taking notes. Myra's expression held a hint of pride. "You have done more than prove yourself," Myra said after the session. "You have shown that humans can innovate, lead, and enhance the operations of this galaxy. Your people have earned respect, and you have set an example of what humanity can achieve." Kiran acknowledged her words with humility. "It is not my achievement alone. The humans of Ryan Prime, my team, and every individual who has trained, endured, and contributed made this possible. Humanity's strength lies in cooperation, learning, and courage." Over the next cycles, Kiran continued to lead missions that required ingenuity and courage. Humans assisted in exploration, disaster relief, and defense initiatives. Each success further solidified humanity's reputation. Kiran trained new teams, shared knowledge, and ensured that every human had the chance to contribute meaningfully. One evening, Kiran stood on the ridge again, looking at the horizon where alien cities glowed in the distance. He thought of the journey from the first council chamber to now. Every challenge, every mission, every moment of doubt had led to this point. Humans had proven that they could not be underestimated. They had shown that strength was not only in power but in intelligence, adaptability, and heart. Myra appeared beside him, her presence calm and steady. "You have fulfilled the challenge I set," she said softly. "But more importantly, you have shown that humanity can rise above expectations. Your people have a place among the stars because of what you have done." Kiran smiled, feeling the weight of the acknowledgement. "Thank you, Myra. We will continue to grow, to learn, and to face every challenge with courage and intelligence. Humanity's journey is only beginning, but we will prove ourselves in every way we can." Myra nodded. "I believe you will. And the galaxy will watch and learn from your people, as we have." As night fell, Kiran returned to his quarters. The stars above Ryan Prime were bright, scattered across the sky like points of hope. He knew the path ahead was long and filled with unknowns. Yet, he also knew that humans were ready. They had demonstrated courage, skill, and ingenuity beyond expectation. They had earned their place, not by force alone, but by proving their worth through action and character. Kiran looked at his team as they gathered around, their faces reflecting pride, hope, and determination. "This is our moment," he said. "We have proven that humans can rise to any challenge. But we do not stop here. We continue to grow, to explore, and to protect. Humanity has a future among the stars, and it begins with each of us, every day." The team nodded, feeling the truth of his words. They had faced danger, outsmarted enemies, and earned respect. Together, they would continue to lead, to learn, and to inspire. Kiran knew that the journey of humanity in the galaxy had only just begun, but the foundation had been laid. The wind blew gently across the ridge as Kiran gazed at the distant stars. He felt a deep sense of purpose and pride. Humanity had proven itself, and he had played a part in that legacy. The challenge that had once seemed impossible had been met. The doubt of the council and Myra's words had been replaced with respect and acknowledgement. Kiran smiled quietly. The galaxy awaited, full of adventures, challenges, and opportunities. Humans would face them not as timid outsiders but as capable, clever, and courageous participants. And Kiran knew that, with determination, intelligence, and heart, humanity's place among the stars was secure. The journey was far from over, but the future was bright. Kiran had returned as a man, and he had shown that humans could rise to any occasion. The stars above were no longer distant mysteries, they were destinations, challenges, and opportunities waiting to be met. Humanity had arrived, and Kiran's journey was a testament to what courage, intelligence, and perseverance could achieve. And so, under the vast expanse of stars, Kiran and his team stood ready, knowing that their journey, and humanity's, was only beginning, and that the legacy of their courage and ingenuity would shape the galaxy for cycles to come.